Hello. Okay. I'm seeing the mic is working. Hello, everybody. It's Friday, and you're watching Insane Games right here on YouTube. Welcome if you're new here. So my name is Lily, and Fridays at 5 p.m. we talk about all the things that happened this past week in the news, and there's a lot that just happened. About Wednesday night it all started, and we are going to talk about it. So on the docket today, we have a Linus Tech Tip update, kind of. We have Coco Gauff setting the record straight with just bad sportsmanship. And we have Lucy Letby, a little true crime being sprinkled in. Okay, so that's a dream come true for me. Also, 8 passengers, mom, arrest, it's a big deal. So let's just get into it. If you are not subscribed to Insane Games, go ahead and subscribe. You'll see me here every Friday at 5 p.m. plus plenty of other content available. And if you go check out any of the other content on here, let them know I sent you in the comments. It is good to see you. Welcome in. If you are here, feel free to say hi. I love seeing you guys in the chat as well. So let's go ahead and first talk about the Linus Tech Tips. He made a video a couple days ago. So we talked about Linus Tech Tips a week or two ago, how Gamers Nexus came out with a video just showing on screen all of the poor, lazy mistakes that Linus Tech Tips, a massive tech review network, have been just kind of serving up on a silver platter as if it was top-notch reliable reviews, even though it wasn't. It used to be, but it wasn't. And it was very clear that they were taking the easy way out. They were shorting a lot of viewers with the proper information, and they were too many cooks were in the kitchen, and no one was taking responsibility for stuff that was burning on the stove, right? So it came to fruition that this came out. Gamers Nexus made this video, and it kind of blew up. And along with more information and more energy being sent to Linus Tech Tips and just the network in general, that there's these mistakes that no one's addressing because it's constant. It became constant mistakes. So we got all the attention going to Linus Tech Tips. And then it came out that there were a lot of current and post employees, current and post, no longer employees, that came out speaking on the work environment and some of the negative things that happened to them while working at Linus Tech Tips video brand. And it wasn't good. And there was SA allegations, which is sexual assault allegations. There were very inappropriate comments being thrown about to female employees, and it was just not a good workplace for a lot of people. And so a lot of revelations came out about that as well. So Linus made an apology video with a few other kind of key figures in the Linus Tech Tip group. And then a couple days ago, he made another video saying how things are going to change. Because the first video that they made was about why things needed to be changed and why things are pausing and why they're going to look into things and review things and have conversations with people about things. And now this newest video is how they are going to make those changes. It was a little bit I don't know. I'm a big tone person, so I don't necessarily take word for word what you're saying, but I will understand and comprehend the tone in which you're saying it. It's very interesting because his tone was patronizing, and it was very much the energy of, well, you said we were broken, so here's all of the things that we're doing. So is that good for you? It was a little off. I never watch any Linus Tech Tips. Maybe I came across like one or two if I was like looking something up, but nothing memorable in my past years on the internet. And so I definitely didn't get a good vibe. Now I saw a lot of positive energy from this video of how the steps that they were going to be taking and how there's going to be new information. They're lessening the amount of content that they're producing. They're going to do the hard work again, basically. To sum it up, they're going to continue. They're going to try to go back and do the hard work again, which became lax. And people are going to be taking more responsibility and for their own specific things. And they're going to make less content so that what they do put out is correct. And if there are issues, they're going to go above and beyond to make sure that the issues are resolved or the incorrect information is replaced properly, or even we'll just take the whole video down. So it was a little weird, but I get it. I'm here for the change. We love a positive change. We love moving in the right direction, especially for something as large as Linus Tech Tips when it comes to millions of subscribers and millions of viewers on a daily basis. So your viewers kind of deserve that. So watch the tone. I don't know if anyone else felt that. If you go back and watch the latest Linus Tech Tip kind of what we're going to do about it video and you feel that same vibe, I don't know if it's just the blue moon or I don't know, maybe I didn't have enough coffee by the time I watched the video, but it wasn't sitting right with me. But a positive change is a positive change, even if the person enacting or sharing the changes happening has a bit of a tude, we'll see. Coco Gauff. So that was fast. I have to talk fast about these little ones because I need the time to talk about the big ones. So Coco Gauff set off, Coco Gauff was, people are calling it a controversy. So as we know, if you don't, the U.S. Open tennis, not golf, is currently underway down in New York City in the Arthur Ashe Stadium per usual. Also Serena Williams, congratulations on baby number 2. Coco Gauff is a young, I believe she's 19, young pro tennis star. She's been playing pro for 4 years, I believe. So she became pro very young. She's fantastic. I'm a big tennis fan. Me and my boyfriend both watch a lot of tennis and we get really into it. And so we've been watching Coco Gauff for a very long time and we have nothing but high hopes for her. So she set off into, was it game 1? No. I don't think so. It might have been round 2. I'm not 100% sure. But she was setting off the game with Laura Siegemund, who's a German tennis player who's almost 40 years old. She's literally been playing pro tennis longer than like Coco's been alive. And there was a lot of controversy, which I don't understand why they're calling it a controversy. So during the game, there's very specific rules that tennis players, especially pro tennis players, need to abide by, and it comes down to the amount of time between serves and the end of volleys, when you can sit and when you can't sit, and stuff like that. So Coco Gauff, who is a young, strong-brained female playing pro tennis for a very long time, I mean, longer than you and me. So she's very familiar with the rules. And Laura, her opponent, was very much taking her sweet, sweet time. And Coco Gauff is an American player. She's on American soil. She's down in New York City. She's going to have the crowd on her side, just in general. Like, she's the hometown hero, right? And so there was already tension brewing very early on in the match. And Coco made it very clear at one point to the ref that Laura, her opponent, was taking way too much time. She's not ready when Coco is ready to serve, which she needs to be. And it's just continuous, like, small rules that kind of result in a negative point here or there, not necessarily fines, are being broken, and that it's not fair, and that the ref isn't saying anything. And in turn, she wasn't just addressing her opponent taking her sweet time, but she was also addressing the ref in quite possibly playing favorites and taking a very long time calling each volley, calling each point, and not necessarily paying attention. So it wasn't just Coco calling out her opponent, but the ref as well. And when I tell you, when Coco had this conversation, the ref's leaning down and Coco is standing there, you can clearly see the frustration and the tension in her face and in her voice, but she's strong and she's powerful and she knows exactly what she's saying and she knows exactly what is going on. Like, she said no lies. And just seeing that moment play out was just like, I love it. It like melted my heart. And then hearing the crowd behind her, it was just this roar of support and encouragement, and it was fantastic. And the round of applause for Coco, not just standing up for herself, but standing up for the game, and incredible. Now, Laura, her opponent, of course, had to do a kind of post-game press conference roundtable, and Laura, a almost 40-year-old German white woman, made it very clear that her emotions were hurt, that she felt like terrible, and she let her tears roll down her face. She let her voice shake, and she made it known that what was happening wasn't supposed to happen to her. And it was very disconcerting. The power of white woman tears is immeasurable. And I think that women of that color need to remind themselves that there is more power being able to be wielded with one tear than almost anything, quite honestly. And it was really discouraging, and it was gross to see a grown woman cry in front of the world's cameras. You know, it's the U.S. Open. This is one of 4 major tennis tournaments in the world. And to cry on cameras for the world to see because someone pointed out you being wrong and playing the game in a way that is almost cheating. It's just about cheating. You're breaking the rules, which is cheating. And to lose points and to sit there and cry, you lost the game, you lost the matches. It was wild to see. Like, you are an adult. You are grown. Coco didn't shed a tear when she was calling you out to the ref. You don't need to shed a tear in front of the world's cameras. Like, oh, poor thing. Anywho, that was a big deal for me, at least, and I know the tennis community found it relieving and refreshing to see such a young, strong player really stand up for why she's there. Like, the reason she's there, we all have rules to abide by, especially in the tennis world, so have some respect, because Coco had respect. She didn't take it out on her opponent. She went to the ref. She went to the right official, and Laura is sitting in front of the cameras, taking it out, and sad that the crowd wasn't on her side. That's weird. That was weird. That was so weird. I didn't understand. You should just sit there. Yeah, yeah, I took my time. I lost points. I was tired. Like, say something meaningful. Don't cry and say, oh, I feel like zero. I feel like nothing. Well, you got beat by a 19-year-old. Sorry. So, okay. So let's get into, I'm going to start with the worst one, the worst out of the two. That way we can end with a lesser. I don't even know if they're both just as evil and cruel. So I'm sorry. But let's talk about Lucy Letby. Lucy Letby is a 20-something, I believe, year old woman from the UK. And she was a nurse in the pediatrics ward dealing with like newborns and most usually like premature babies. And that was her job. She was a nurse for the little preemies and the little new babies and the taking care of them and making sure mom knows all the things and, here's the babies. I don't know what the nurses do. I don't know. They do the things that nurses do. Glenn S., what tennis player are you talking about? I was talking about Coco Gauff and her match with the German, I believe Laura something was her name. When Coco Gauff stood up and said she's not ready, she's taking too long, she's sitting when she's not supposed to, she's calling out the ref for taking too long, calling out the points and everything. That's who I was covering just then. We love Coco Gauff. Good for her. So Lucy Letby was supposed to be taking care of the babies. And I'm not going to get into like the whole stories, but let's just say between 2015 and 2016, there were babies that should have grown up and should have lived lives. But unfortunately, their life was snuffed out because Lucy did it. Because she did it. Lucy was able to murder these babies in different forms. There were babies that were injected with insulin, even though they were producing enough insulin perfectly fine. There were babies who Spectrum and Disney are fighting it out. They took my ESPN and Disney channels Fox away, so I can't watch US Open. No, Glenn, this match was, sorry, we'll get back to Lucy Letby. There's a delay in streams, so when chat comes in, it's usually about like 10-15 seconds earlier that they're hearing me. So just fair warning, sorry. Coco Gauff, if you can even just like go on TikTok or something and just put in like Coco Gauff, or just the ESPN TikTok, or like Instagram or something, you'll see Coco addressing the ref. I wish I could play it. I just want to be able to play things for you. And it was a fantastic moment. She did win the match, thankfully. I was so happy that she did. But Coco Gauff was on fire, and the German player, I believe her name is Laura. That's what I saw, I believe. She was very immature with her reaction. And Coco wasn't immature with her, multiple interactions about her rule breakings. So Disney owns ESPN and they want to stream all those channels. Yeah, there has been a lot going on with the streamers, the Disney Pluses and the Hulus and all that stuff. And you could also just get the tennis channel if you don't want to like support like ESPN or Disney Plus directly. I think that's the best bet. But the tennis channel doesn't always have women's tournaments, which is weird. Okay, sorry, back to Lucy Letby. So Lucy Letby was a baby murderer. And in between the years of like probably late 2014 to 2016, she was doing what baby murderers do and taking the lives of little tiny infants. She was injecting air. She was physically abusing. There was one baby that had a post-mortem, and there was trauma to its body that would equate to like a car accident. So she was physically abusing the babies, on top of insulin injections. She's a terrible human being. The problem with the story is it wasn't as straightforward. So there were doctors at the hospital. And one doctor suspected, once these little babies were dying, that the only common denominator in all the people who were working, that were on the floor, is Lucy. So I think we might have a problem. He tried to reach out to people. He tried to take her off of shifts. People just kind of ignored it. They put her in like an administrative role after many more attempts at taking babies' lives. Then babies stopped getting sick and babies stopped dying once she was working in this administrative role. She went on vacation once, and nothing happened. There were no incidents with any of the babies because she was out of the country. It was so frustrating. The board of the hospital, the higher ups, the suit wearers, the decision makers of the hospital, even got to the point where they were demanding that anyone who even considered Lucy to be the problem to apologize to her. It's a terrible story. I'm not going to get into too many other details other than that. But Lucy she finally had her day in court. Thank God. She finally had her day in court, and she was found guilty. Now, when the sentencing date came up, which was just a few days ago, Lucy, because apparently in the UK, you don't have to show up to your sentencing date, which means you don't have to hear the words from the victims and the family of the victims that you hurt. You can stay in your little jail cell and twiddle your thumbs and wait to be transferred to wherever they're going to put you. And so that's what she decided to do. She stayed in her jail cell while victim statements and the judge read off their own statement about the deranged, incoherent monster that Lucy really was. And she could sit in her cell. She didn't even have to be in that same room. And this is where the second wave of outrage came. We all had the outrage with the babies and the parents losing their babies, and the woman who gave birth to 3 healthy twins now only having 1. And then we had countless babies that crashed but then were able to be revived. We had that outrage. And then we had a second round of outrage when this woman who was brass knuckled enough to stand there and end the life of sweet little babies, not even stand up and get her actual day in court. She sat through the trial and said, it wasn't me though. The way that I would go and sign my name to sit in front of her every day if she took one of my children and make her see my face and then be able to get back in my car and go home, that's insane. So since this was such a big deal, mind you, this is overseas, it's in a different country, but it's a big deal here. Could you imagine where it is in her hometown, in her home country? Since this was such a big deal, there are the thoughts and the deliberations. How much time did she get? Life. So there is no death penalty in the UK. So she got sentenced to life. That was the worst, without parole. There's no chance of her getting out of jail. She is going to a maximum security prison. I'm sure they're going to be making sure that she doesn't do any self-harm. She'll probably be on watch for many, many weeks, and she'll probably have like her own little security guards so that anyone in that jail cell don't harm her either until she settles in, and kind of, probably develops some weird racial bond with whoever else is in that jail cell or in that prison. I don't think she's going to have an easy life, which is good. She doesn't deserve it. It sucks that she doesn't have to worry about anything. Her meals, she has a roof over her head. She knows when she can get her showers. She'll be able to make friends eventually. So give her hell, I guess. I don't know. If anyone in this maximum security prison sees this video, give her hell. She deserves it. So now that she didn't go to her sentencing hearing, she didn't listen to any of the victim statements, the impact statements, the judge sharing their own opinions on the case. A movement, an idea, a thought, a desire, a need, a requirement that is going around the UK, especially that area. They want these criminals who were found guilty to mandatorily go to their sentencing hearing. It is such, that is such a major oversight that you can just decide not to go. Like, who do you think you are? Who do you think you are? I don't want to go. Oh my God, it's going to be so emotional. I believe she was like 20, mid to late 20s. I couldn't imagine if I was there, if I showed up at the sentencing to speak as a victim and share my victim impact statement, and she's not even there. That's wild. Not in America. That's not an American thing. Nope. That's not an American thing. We don't do that here. You got convicted. You are going to sit there and listen to what the people have to say about what you did. And no, you can't put your fingers in your ears. What the crap? Oh my gosh. I can't even like mentally comprehend that you don't have to go. You don't have to. What? So during the trial, we obviously got like information, and it came to light that Miss Lucielle had Raylene, hi, how are you? That we had she had an affair going on with one of the doctors, who the doctor was married to, not Lucy. And so with the affair came text messages, came little notes, came little letters, little kissing smiley faces. Can't wait to see you. And then the doctor was like, look, things are getting kind of, the water's getting a little hot in this hospital here. There's a lot of babies not living. So we're just gonna, we'll just chill. She didn't like that. She wasn't about that. She wasn't having this. She wasn't letting all of this. She wasn't letting all of that get in the way of her man. And so it's believed that one of her latest attempts at, one of her latest killings was because she wanted to see this doctor again, because he would come running when a little baby crashed. And so to think that was quite possibly a motivation for one or more murders is insane. And there's a saying, you can't trust a boy crazy girl, right? Because there's like, where do you draw the line? If it's just like boy, 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 you know, like, you can't trust, because they'll do anything to get that man. And I feel like this woman is the epitome of just that sentiment. Like, you cannot. This man even sent her messages saying that he would trust her with his own children, with his wife's children. Blinded. Come on, folks. Come on, folks. So there's a lot of movement to get the suits of the hospital who said, apologize to Lucy. She's just the sweetest person in the world. She had nothing to do with this. So you guys need to apologize. So the suits that made these terrible decisions along the way, along the year or two that she was doing what she does as a child murderer, there's now movement to get them into a lawsuit for negligible actions. Like, you just let her continue on doing that. Anywho, she's serving life in jail. She's on watches. She's gonna have her little desk be able to write all her little notes. She's gonna have all of the little papers, the transcriptions of all the victim impact statements and the statement from the judge, and she's gonna be able to not look at that for the rest of her life if she doesn't want to. She won't have to read, hear, see, or comprehend any of the words that any of the victims said regarding her and her actions, because she didn't have to go to her sentencing. Stop. Illegal. Illegal. Hey, Tommy Stew. Okay, so we have just about a half an hour left, and I think that may just be enough time for me to tell you the story, fill you in, get you all caught up on the 8 passengers news. Because like Swoop says, it's not drama, it's dangerous. Okay? So let's talk about 8 passengers. 8 passengers was... Let me take a drink first, honestly. Like, come on. Okay. She needs faces of the victims plastered all over her cell. She does. She needs faces of the victims and the parents. But the thing is, one other gross aspect, is that she has all of those images in her brain. She knows what those little babies looked like. She knows what the parents looked like, because she enjoyed checking in on the parents of the children that she murdered. On Facebook, on Instagram, on the internet. She would check in on them. On the baby's birthday, on Christmas, on all the holidays. She would check in on the parents, see how they're mourning, see how they're holding up. She will be able to remember those faces until the day she dies. But she didn't have to hear what they had to say. Wild. The most disgusting human being to walk the earth, and you don't drag her in? I'm sorry. I could never. I'm sorry. It's... Miss me with that, because complete oversight. It's too lenient. You should get more time if you weren't already getting life and you didn't show up to your hearing because you were like, I just don't want to. Ugh, too much emotion. Gross. Extra 5 years. Disrespectful. Okay, so 8 Passengers was a family vlog channel. 8 passengers, a mom, a dad, 6 kids. The mom, Ruby, was like the head camera holder. She held the camera. She put it in her kids' faces every day. And she vlogged her life, raising kids as a good Mormon mommy. I can't even handle it. Okay, so she spent probably about 6 years top of the charts. I mean, like, just crushing it on YouTube. millions of followers, millions of views, all eyeballs on her, sponsorships, the money, the houses, the cars, the trips, the this, the that, the this, the that, the clothes, the house. She was making insane money. Let me get this. Yes, very much Kate Gosselin, very much Kate Gosselin. Okay, let me just pull this up. And the main thing that she was known for was her extreme, but based in religion, parenting. Okay, so one example, I don't want to like get too like deep into it because she's crazy. That's fair. I think that's fair to say. I know everyone's like, be careful, don't just say someone's crazy. She's crazy. She made it very clear that children have no personal space in her home, no matter what age you are. And once you're 18, you don't get to live there no more. You are an adult. You are responsible for yourself. Now remember that when you're 18, you are responsible for yourself. You don't get to live with mom. So it is the parent's space. There is no sneaking, no hiding, no secrets. Her words, not mine. Okay? And bad actions, air quotes, bad actions and choices were punished. But good choices and good actions were never praised. You never had like a good job, I'm so proud of you. Nothing. It was straight punishment for everything. And one thing one day might not be bad, but that same thing the next day might just be terrible. Her 6-year-old, for example, 6-year-old child, her 6-year-old forgot her lunch. She's at school. She forgot her lunch, had no money to buy lunch. She forgot her lunch money. She wasn't prepared. She's 6. Ruby said, "Oh, boo. Guess you're going to be hungry." The teacher called Ruby and said, "Hey, your kid forgot their lunch. Do you think you could bring your 6-year-old child some food? Because I'm not comfortable having them hungry in my classroom." She said, "No, I guess you're learning this lesson the hard way. You need to be responsible to make sure you bring your lunch." And now I get it. It's good. You're teaching responsibility, okay? If you don't bring your lunch, if you don't remember to bring your lunch, that means you're not going to have lunch. You're not going to have a lunch. And you don't have any money in your pocket, so you're not going to be able to buy any lunch or any snacks. It's a lesson, but it's not necessarily a lesson you teach a 6-year-old when they go to school. Okay? Not like that. It just makes me so mad. Her words, Ruby's words, Ruby Frankie, let me just clarify that. Food is a privilege, not a right. And so 6-year-old child, little baby girl, learn now that food is not a privilege. Food is a privilege. It's not a human right. And honestly, I think I saw a thing, the UN at the United Nations, like meet and greet or whatever, there was a vote at the United Nations that like food is a human right. And I believe I saw that United States was the only country that was like, no. And everyone else was like, yes, of course, food is a human right. We are all humans. We all need to eat. Food is a human right. And the US was like, nah. So, yikes. Anywho, she took her son's bedroom away. Yep, she took her son's bedroom away. This was after she sent him to a weeks-long Mormon camp. Now, they're not going to call it straight up a Mormon camp, but it's called Camp Anasazi, and it's basically a conversion camp for the naughty 13 to 17-year-olds. So they go there if they are experiencing, like, devil behavior. Maybe, like, being sexually inquisitive, rebelling in general, maybe like testing like a marijuana or something, behavior or mental issues. Parents would send kids here to find the Mormon religion. Now on the website, it's not a, hey, welcome to Mormon camp. It's we're non sequitur. Anyone can come here, and we're here to convert you back to a good person, but it's very Mormon. It is the middle of the woods in Utah, and like 98% of the counselors are just straight Mormon, like Mormon. Ooh. I don't have anything against religion, but I do have a problem when you use religion in these types of ways. You don't need religion to be a good person. And you don't need religion to scare you straight. That's not what it's supposed, that, in my opinion, that's not right. Oh, it makes me so mad. So he went there. A Mormon boot camp in the woods. Because honestly, like, there's in the record of the world, nothing bad has ever happened when you send young children into the woods with ultra religious adults, miles and miles away from their parents or any sane person, right? Like, nothing bad has ever happened in those types of situations, right? People fearmonger when it comes to religion. Yeah, and it is so discouraging for the people, now I'm not one of them, but for the people who follow their own religion in their own brain, in their own soul, in their own heart, and they don't push it or shove it down anyone else's throats, but they're getting the back end, the short end of the stick when it comes to all of these like mega religious mindsets. You know, like, I have a very dear friend who is she's very into her religion, and that is fantastic for her, and that is her moment, and that is her peace, and that is her zen, and that's beautiful. I have nothing against that. She's not going to sit down and say, you need to be what I am because what you are is wrong. And so when it gets to that point, that's a problem. And so there's actually like many reviews about this Anasazi camp and how terrible it is and how it screws up the kids and they're worse when they get back and their brains have been washed. It's brainwashing. It's a brainwashing camp. And so since her young child didn't fulfill his duty of being a perfect human after he got back from this camp, he in turn lost his room for 7 months. This growing boy, this young teenage boy, was sleeping on a beanbag in the middle of the living room. And now they were not struggling for money. Yes, they have 6 kids, but they also have a massive home full of bedrooms, full of beds, full of clothes, full of blankets, full of pillows. And this young child, for over half of a year, was sleeping on a beanbag. The kids in many videos complained about not having any friends. I wonder why. 6 young growing humans were all unable to make friends. And like, I just want to sit Ruby down and be like, do you have any idea as to why your 6 children had no friends and continued to act out constantly? Ruby would sit her children down and share their personal life. Like really, really personal life moments on camera for the entire world to see. But let's not forget the worst of the worst are included in that statement. Like, why would a grown woman post a video with her daughter sharing that her daughter has been begging to shave her legs for the first time all summer long? A little sit down on YouTube with a little baby girl growing up, which should be a beautiful moment for a mother and daughter to talk and hug and grow and learn and develop a bond together, is being shared to feed the pervs online. Imagine being 10 years old, it's summer break, you have not one friend because you did a naughty thing and your mom took every bit of technology away. No TV, no computer, no phone, no tablet, no radio, absolutely nothing. You have no one to confide in. You have no way of reaching out to the real world. You are just in this house with this overbearing, camera in your face woman screaming at you, telling you everything that you're doing is wrong and constantly coming up with new punishments to suffer, for you to suffer. You know, my sense of humor, I commented back in the day, Tebow is going to Jets. Guess New Yorkers are converting to Christianity. A heavy religious narcissistic on my Facebook says I'm offended and deleted me. convert to Amish at this rate, honestly. Yes. And it wasn't they didn't just have, it wasn't that they didn't have friends because they had no technology. They couldn't make friends at school because, oh, hey, why don't you come over and have a sleepover? Well, is my mom's not going to let me be on camera. Like, can your mom put the camera down for one night? No. Okay, well, then I can't come over. I can't be your friend because my mom doesn't want me on the internet. I'm 10. Like, the crap. It makes me scream. So there's so much more, but I want to get to the newest part of what's happening. So I have no social work education. I'm not a doctor, but I do know every one of these kids was on a daily basis broken by their parents, used and abused, manipulated, threatened. There was one time she threatened to cut her little daughter's toy off, like the head off of the toy, for this little girl being a little girl, like a young human. She complained that her 4-year-old wasn't responsible enough to wake herself up to go to preschool. 4-year-old. I can't wake myself up to go to work on a daily basis. I need 3 alarms and my boyfriend to say hello. A 4-year-old to wake herself up to go to preschool and then put that on the internet and encourage other people to continue the punishment of her not being responsible enough to wake herself up to go to preschool. It just makes me, it makes me shake. So Ruby and her husband, Kevin, the dad of these kids, went to bed every night believing themselves to be good Mormon parents. Now, about a year ago, I believe, they finally stopped posting on the 8 Passengers channel. Their oldest daughter is growing up. Their oldest son, who had to deal with all that camp and losing their bedroom, is growing up and leaving the house. But Ruby wasn't done preaching her parenting skills, her fantastic, wonderful, everyone should follow parenting skills. So she teamed up with Jody Hildebrandt, which was just another crazy person, okay? They're just as crazy. It was just 2 crazies feeding off of each other, and started a Mormon mommy group on Facebook. Like, why? Because there's not enough. So Jody Hildebrandt is also the founder of Connections, CONNEXIONS. Okay. And Connections has a mission statement that reads, "We invite and encourage healing and facilitate personal growth through impeccable honesty, rigorous personal responsibility, and vulnerable humility." Which is basically me trying to add another 500 words to my term paper. Their values: honest, responsible, and humble. Gag. I work with kids with special needs and see it firsthand. It is heartbreaking. It is absolutely heartbreaking. It is absolutely heartbreaking because there is no safe space to come home. Maybe one of the kids is neurodivergent, has, a learning delay, or maybe they're on the autism spectrum. There's no safe space. Everything is either right or wrong. And there was no way to even foster a proper home environment or a growing environment or a lovable environment when you were constantly walking on eggshells, because maybe if I laugh at a joke, I'm going to be punished. Oh my gosh, it's so frustrating. Okay, so now Ruby and Jody are hand in hand. Well, okay, not hand in hand because that's probably gay to them, but they are side by side with a religiously comfortable amount of space between them on a cheap Raymore and Flanagan couch, preaching about being a good person, based in religion, of course, and they are demanding that people be true to themselves. Okay? I can do that without all of that. And to not comment anything that isn't positive, or if you're going to ask a question, make sure it's a real, inquisitive question. Live in truth. And fight the distortions. Distortions is what they call any time you are disconnected from anything. Is a distortion. Maybe you're not feeling happy. Maybe you're not feeling giving. Maybe you don't love your partner at this moment in the specific day, but you like them, but you don't love them, or you love them, but you don't like them. Any kind of question or like change of emotion or sort of mindset is a distortion. Ruby and Jody had a moment. They were sharing one of their little podcasts, and they made it very clear that the mother is responsible for the baby inside of them. And the moment the umbilical cord is cut, that little tiny human baby is responsible 110% for themselves. They're responsible to get food, to get water, to get shelter, to get love. That is their responsibility. They need to take that responsibility on. Yeah, a newborn child. You're responsible to get your diaper changed. I can't go into specifics, but things I witness pains me, but thanks I lived a such wonderful life. Yeah. This is a great reminder to not take for granted anything, because it gets worse. They, like, the two of them, the Ruby and Jody, they give off, like, we'll just stand up and walk, like, just stand up and, like, walk, like, to someone who, like, can't walk in a wheelchair, like, the only person holding you back is you, like, that type of vibe, when it's like, no, it's the cerebral palsy, like, no, it's the cerebral palsy holding me back, or no, it's it's the spinal injury holding me back. I can't just do that. Let's come back down and touch some grass, shall we, Ruby and Jody? So they are one and the same, and it's terrible when these two type of people, they just feed off of each other, and they just, like, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, like, morph into this one big, like, awful negative, like, Mormon monster that is just giving the worst parenting tips of all time. So, okay, leading us to Wednesday night. Wednesday night, one of their youngest kids, believed to be 12 years old, about 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, they were over at Jody's house. And they climbed through a window, and they went to their neighbor's house. They knocked on the door and said, "Do you have any food and water? I'm so hungry. We haven't eaten in forever." And the people are like, "Oh my God, like, there's a little child at my door and they're hungry. Like, of course, come in and we will feed you." And when they were coming in, the owners of the home, of the neighbor's house, saw the duct tape binding their wrists and ankles. And so, of course, they called the cops. And it was about a 6-hour stint that finally ended up with Ruby, the mother, and Jody, the other one, arrested. There were other children in the house in very similar situations. They are removed. They were taken to the hospital to be looked at, to be taken care of. And they are now in the custody of the DCFS, which... it's never fun to take kids away from parents, but it's never fun for kids to be abused by their parents. So they are no longer in the home of the parents. The husband was not at Jody's house. He was somewhere else. 2 of the kids are out of the house. So I believe there are 4 kids still under their roof. Jody and Ruby are arrested, lawyered up, and they are being held in jail without bail. So they're not getting out until this is all sorted out, and there'll be a trial date, I'm sure. They're not going anywhere anytime soon, which is good. The kids, I wish them the best. It's so heartbreaking. It's so heartbreaking because it's been years and years and years of us seeing all this terrible stuff. There was a petition signed by thousands upon thousands of people to get child services involved with this family. That they're holding food above their kids' heads. They're letting them go to sleep, go to bed, wake up hungry, even though their refrigerator is full. They are the product that Ruby and Kevin and then Jody were selling. And they were used and abused over and over and over again, mentally, emotionally, physically, psychologically. They were tortured. They went through torture after torture. And people have been screaming about this for so long. And then the 8 Passengers channel disappears. And then we have Ruby with a little side mic preaching about how to be a better parent. Ruby's sister, the children's aunt, has spoken out and is exhausted and is pleased that something like this has happened to Ruby. She's not pleased that this has happened. This was the result for the children. She made it very clear that she too has been fighting to make sure the life and the growing process of these children was good and better than it was. She's been fighting behind the scenes for years as well. Kevin, the husband, made a statement that he wants the family to be together. Oh, I'm just, but, I don't know what to say. I'm do this for my family. Sir, you are their father. And you did nothing to stop the constant and years of abuse. You were there the entire time, holding your wife's hand, giving the sign off. So you two are just as guilty. The oldest daughter is very vocal online right now. Hi, Crystalline. She's been very vocal online right now about looking for evidence to just solidify anything that happens in the court system. Videos, clips, anything that she's asked the whole internet to gather up anything that they can before it quite possibly disappears off of the internet, which I think is very smart. And she has so many supporters behind her because she was the first in the line of many children to go through all of this constant torture. And so she has my support, and I hope that she is able to handle this with her immediate support system, and to not feel like it is all on her as well to take care of the issue at hand. And I think it's fantastic for Ruby and the connections and the world, the little cult that she was developing, because it really was a cult. Tommy said Mom is creating a cult. Mom is creating a cult. Mom and Jody were requesting insane amounts of money for weekly, monthly, daily support from them. And people were following their talkings and their words and their routines and their energy. And it's scary. It's scary to have so much hatred for your own children. To treat them like an experiment. You should be in jail. Tighten the cuffs. See what it feels like to have your ankles and your wrists bound by duct tape for potentially what could have been days, because these children were extremely malnourished. These children, it was a sight to behold. It took state, city, county, federal employees all at once to come in and handle the situation. It was a big deal. Now it is a developing situation because we do have some information. Every almost like hour, it feels like there's more information coming out. There was kind of like police radio that came out that was uploaded, and you can hear one officer sharing the information, relaying the information back to more officers, and the need for medical and all that stuff. So, I'll keep my eye on this, but I don't think, it's sometimes it's good to say yay that she got arrested. It means potentially, hopefully, cross my fingers and hope to this Mormon God that it will never happen again for these children. It sucks that it got to this point. And I have a lot of emotions, and it's hard to even like think about, let alone talk about. But it's very Turpin case, if you guys remember the Turpin case. If not, look it up. The end of the story is beautiful. The beginning of the Turpin story is disgraceful. So that's that. I'm sorry I didn't really have anything good at all today. I mean, I'm good. So that's that. So that's my news. That's the week. That's this week. That's what's been happening. And whew, man, that's a lot. We learned a lot today. Anyway, that's it. That's it for me. That's it for this Lily's Lottery. Lily's Lottery. Oh my God. I'm thinking about my next stream in a couple hours. So that's it for me for Lily's News. If you want to follow me on Lily's Lottery, you can. It's just another YouTube channel. Anyway, that's that. Thank you all so much for being here. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. I will see you guys next Friday at 5 p.m. per usual with some more news, right? That's that. All right. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.